It's sad to think we're not gonna make it. And it's gotten to the point where we just can't fake it. Ooh, for some ungodly reason. We just can't go on. I guess neither one of us wants to be the first to say. Neither one of us wants to be the first to say. Neither one of us wants to be the first to say. Farewell, my love. Goodbye. Y'all like that song about lovers parting? I want to sing one more song before I begin my commentary. What's my other song? How is it that five people who love together, dream together, sometimes end up along the road? Tell me how and how is it that five people who dream together wanna die together sometimes? Oh, isn't it a shame? Yeah. Sometimes such a love, it will never leave. A shame. You have to laugh. Isn't it a shame that such a love can last? Whoa, isn't it a shame? Isn't it a shame? Well, people, folks gonna call you messy, shouldn't say anything about sad things. But it looks like the gentleman's panel is imploding. Now, I did see the shit show last night. And I decided, okay, I'm not going to say anything about that panel. First of all, because a certain person was saying, I know everybody's going to make a video about it. So they only care about numbers, driving numbers up. So whatever. I wasn't going to bite. But when I woke up this morning, I see that apparently something traumatic has happened with this gentleman's panel. Now, the part that I saw last night, here was the big mistake. You have these 5 adult men in their 40s and 50s, arguing with this 20-year-old child. y'all don't get it, apparently. This is a 20-year-old queen. Now, she might not like to be called a queen or whatever it is, but it speaks at a very high register. She's still being a diva and finger popping and all the stuff. I guess little girls do the same kind of thing, when they're young, they're reading that way, right? It's a snarky kind of their minds are not mature. So I don't know what they was expecting from this boy Trey. He didn't belong there. That was the problem. So gay people, they go through various stages. Sometimes you catch somebody at that age, 20 years old, and you catch them 10 years later, they're a little less womanish. And then after that, then they're just a regular person kind of thing. And they look back into a video of them at 20 years old and say, God, is that me? Is that the same person? That child's not developed into anybody yet. He's just a child. So that was a mistake. So I think this is where some of this angst from QB is coming from. I got nothing against QB. I saw a little bit of his video a minute ago. I just watched a couple minutes of it. I can't stand to see a grown man cry. But he was hurt. I relate to that. I used to be, when I was a young person, I was a bitch. I'm sorry. When I was a young person, I could go off an immature mind. but I always went off and ripped people apart, and then I felt horrible afterwards. I did not like the feeling of losing control. Particularly, I'm sure I would not like the losing control in front of hundreds, if not a couple thousand people. So I understand why he's feeling bad this morning. But apparently now QB has decided to leave the gentleman's panel. He'll do fine. You know, I don't know about this panel thing. These guys, they have their own individual personalities. QB will do fine. He's a riser on here. People like his personality. His voice is interesting. His music chops are interesting. So he'll do fine. But that don't mean you're going to be on some panel. That's one thing I love about being an old man. I ain't looking. So you see? Hear that? Nobody to argue with. Oh, that's a little monster. You would have to pipe up. My baby's going to get a grooming and haircut in a minute. Be quiet. But nobody to argue with. So I don't have that much interaction with people. I mean, I have friends. We meet for an hour. We have lunch together, things like that. But it's no one for me. I'm not in situations where I'm going to be arguing with people, right? So, great thing about just doing, people wonder, why don't you go live? Why don't you do this? Why don't you join up that panel? Why don't you do that? I'm not interested in any of that. I'm able to come on here and say what I want to say, give my commentary, and then turn the computer off. And it's not any stress involved in it, right? So he'll be fine. Then I saw James Caldwell is also leaving, which is really, I have to be honest, it brings joy to my soul because I think James was he's speaking beneath himself with that thing. I never saw James in that situation. It seems like all five of them on any given day were not very interested in each other's topics, kind of thing. They're used to being individuals, and I think they function best as individuals, right? So it's not surprising to me that they would lose interest. And then the subjects weren't even all that interesting because they didn't make them interesting. You know, there was usually whoever came up with the topic was excited about it, but other people were not excited. But said, well, we already talked about that or whatever. You see how they imploded with Kaya and TS? That was only 2 people. Now you can take 5 people and you're supposed to get along harmoniously. So the mistake was bringing that boy on there, I guess. But I don't think people would just walk off the stage from one incident. My suspicion is they already wanted to walk off anyway. Right? I'm deliberately trying not to mention that other person's name. But sometimes you wonder, because you see people and you like them and you say, well, why are they hanging around with that dude? Why do they? Because they're they're tarnished from their name can rub off on you, rub off on the people that you actually like. So I think they do better as single people, to be honest. I haven't watched the other 2 guys. What's his name? The new one is Rebel's son. I haven't watched him, and he says he's not ready to lead a panel. He's being honest. He doesn't feel like he's ready to do that. And then who else is left? That Madam X is there. Rebel's son, and what's the other one named? L. Teddy. L. Teddy. L. Teddy, give these young people some leeway to grow up, please. Anyway, so I guess they're going to have to back and forth now between just 2 of them leading the panel. I don't see a big future. You people need to let Madam X do her own thing. Don't have her drive. She's not even that interested when it's not on her channel anyway. Anyway, let me stop. Okay. I just love my song. It's sad that you have to break up. Sometimes such a love, it will never be. Isn't it shame? I don't want to laugh. All right, I'm not going to come in here just to be messy, but I do want to acknowledge that the gentleman's panel seems to be on the ropes. It all happened in a couple hour period, right? Last night they went on there and it got into disagreement, argument. QB of the Midwest Oh, I think actually is a pretty good commentator. I kind of like him. He's a new one for me. But he kind of lost it because people were being disrespectful and unnecessarily nasty to a person who he invited onto the show. Remember now, he invited a person onto the show, and he gets on the show, and there's feud. There's beef going on already. He felt it disrespectful. He yelled some, and then ended up a big mess. But as I said, I believe that they wanted to leave anyway. So anyway, so that's that. We'll count the days for the gentleman's panel. I can't say more. I could say more, but I won't say more because I don't want to go off into a certain direction. We're trying to avoid that direction as much as we can. Okay? So happy, what's the day? Happy Friday. Oh, I got to work tonight. Happy Friday, people. I'm going to take my baby, get a nice haircut. He looks so cute. Well, he looks cute even when, come here. Here's your last look. I'll show you the after in a minute. See how he looks? Look at it, baby. Look in there, sweetheart. You handsome rascal. See how he looks? He looks fine, just like this. I like this length. But then see the paws? They get all hairy. And then they get dirty if they're hairy when he walks, right? And then the eyes, you can't see his eyes hardly. So I'm sure that causes him frustration. But the main thing is this dog, he's called a Lhasa Apso. A Lhasa Apso. Their hair, if you let it grow, will grow all the way to the ground, right? He's like cousin it. But when it gets past this length here, it starts to mat. So you can have your hair, your dog, show dogs have the long hair all the way to the ground. But it takes an incredible amount of grooming because their hair will mat. So I don't like doing all that. I'm a lazy person. I don't want to spend hours and hours brushing the dog. So we keep his hair nice and short. So later today, possibly we'll show you the new look, which is just as lovely and wonderful. But it only lasts for about 3 months. Okay, people. I'm so glad we had this time together just to have a laugh, sing a song. Seems we just got started, and before you know it, comes the time we have to say, so long, gentlemen's paddle.